Hi, and welcome to the battery shop. You know, some vehicles like this Mercedes-Benz E350 actually have two batteries, one here under the hood and another one back in the trunk. So when you're replacing either of these batteries, we always like to recommend that you check with the vehicle manufacturer's step-by-step instructions to be sure that you're familiar with the procedure, you have everything you need, and you don't forget anything. And that way you can safely and efficiently replace batteries in a vehicle like this. Here's how it's done. The first step is to release the latches for the battery cover and remove the battery cover. With our gloves and safety glasses on, loosen the nut for the negative battery cable, and you'll need your 10mm wrench for that. And remove the negative battery cable from the negative battery terminal. Next, remove the positive battery terminal's protective cap, and using our 10mm wrench, loosen the nut for the positive battery cable, and remove the positive battery cable from the positive battery terminal. Next, cover the positive battery cable in order to prevent it from touching any metal parts of the vehicle when we remove the battery. Now we can remove the vent tube from the side of the battery. Next, using a 13mm wrench, loosen the bolt for the battery hold-down bracket. And remove the battery hold-down bracket. Now we can remove the old battery and install the new battery. Next, reinstall the battery's hold-down bracket and tighten the bolt to 6 Newton meters. Now we can reinstall the positive battery cable onto the positive battery terminal. But don't pound these terminals on, as this can cause internal battery damage. And retighten the nut to 6 Newton meters. Now reinstall the negative battery cable onto the negative battery terminal and retighten the nut to 6 Newton meters. Now we can reinstall the vent tube into the side of the battery and check the tube to make sure it's not cracked or damaged. Now we can reinstall the positive battery terminal's protective cap. The last step is to reinstall the battery cover and secure the latches. Now let's take a look at replacing the battery in the trunk. When replacing the battery in the trunk, first lift the trunk liner and secure it in place. Next, using a 10mm wrench, loosen the nut for the negative battery cable and remove it from the negative battery terminal. Next, remove the positive battery terminal's protective cover and loosen the positive battery terminal's nut. And remove the positive battery cable from the positive battery terminal. And be sure it does not touch any metal parts of the vehicle. Next, remove the vent tube from the side of the battery. And then, using a 10mm wrench, loosen the nut for the battery hold-down bracket. Now we can lift the battery hold-down bracket and remove the battery. Now we can install the new battery. And retighten the nut with the hold-down bracket. Next, reinstall the vent tube into the side of the battery and check the tube to make sure it's not cracked or broken. Now we can reinstall the positive battery cable onto the positive battery terminal. And retighten the nut to 6 Newton meters. Now we can reinstall the positive battery terminal protective cap. Next, reinstall the negative battery cable onto the negative battery terminal. And retighten the nut to 6 Newton meters. Now we can lower the trunk deck panel, and we're done.